Well, hello, and hello. Hope everyone's dry. I got caught in all that rain. Man, we've been having sirens firing off like all the time today. I want to welcome you to the show, and I'm so glad that you're taking the time to be on it. My name is Jan, and I'll be your guest. Today, I have the honor of having a special guest. Now, some of you know him because he's been on the show before. His name is Khalid Scott. Today, he's going to talk about PTSD and COVID and the impact it's having on our communities. If I can twist his arm, I'm going to have him talk about what he typically does talk about. We all know what that is: relationships, marriage, cheating. You know the drill. Anyway, everyone knows I start my show off with a scripture. For today, it's going to be from Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 through 7. And it goes, "Do not worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your heart and mind as you live in Christ Jesus." You know, I've noticed a lot of people worrying. Today, I went to a friend's funeral. It was a beautiful service, and I looked around and saw, just the distress and the stress on people's face. And her grandson got up and said he's glad she's gone because now she's not suffering and she's with God. He spoke so eloquent. He couldn't have been more than 8 or 9 years old. So that's why I decided to do about worrying, the scripture about worrying. And everybody knows worrying is a huge energy drain. Just think about how much time and energy you spend on worrying instead of other things that we can be thinking of or other things that are productive. In this scripture, we're told instead of worrying, we can direct our energies to prayer. It's not saying to ignore your situation or pretend it's not hard, because whatever you're going through, it is hard if it's hard for you and causing you stress. But there's no point in ignoring what's going on in your life. Deal with it. Meet it head on. What the scripture is really saying is that don't just worry and fret and complain, because it's not going to help. It's going to make it worse and it's going to cause more stress. Instead, talk to God about what you're going through. We are able to present our requests to God. We can freely ask Him for what we want and what we need, and we're allowed to tell Him how we hope our situations will turn out. He cares about you, but you got to remember it's a two-way conversation. When we speak to God about our concerns, we have to allow God to speak to us about our situation. When we allow God to speak to us, He's able to encourage us and give us direction. One of the amazing things that come out of a two-way conversation with God about our lives is that we come to align our will with His before we ask that He follow our will for the situation. And that's a beautiful thing and always turns out beautiful. For today, I'm just happy that things turned out beautiful, and I am just so excited to introduce to you. I'm going to do it early. Typically, I do a news you can use, and we know there's a lot of news going on, and I'll definitely come back to that next week. But for today, I'm going to have to bring Khalid into the studio because we just have so much ground to cover. Help me welcome Khalid Scott. Hey, Khalid. How are you?
Hello, beautiful woman. How are you doing today? And my condolences to you.
Thank you. It's always so good to see you and so good to have you on the show. I want to give you guys just a little bit of background about Khalid. He's such a giving person. He had the nerve to say earlier today, this is his 38th Zoom.
Yeah.
And I would think, knowing Khalid, it's the 38th this week. But he's probably being modest when he says, no, it's my 38th this year. Well, I'm going to let you listen to this bio and you tell me what you think about Mr. Scott. Khalid B. Scott, BS, MSW, LCSW, CADC, CODP, C-SWHC, CWEL, LPHA. Has a social work career spanning 27 years and the recipient of 20 social service related awards. Currently, he's a licensed clinical social worker, substance use disorder specialist at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Khalid is in private practice and works exclusively with married couples. Khalid is a contractual psychosocial individual family marriage therapist. Khalid was also a contractual trainer and college lecturer at Columbia College, Chicago State, Malcolm X, Governor State, UIC, Moraine Valley, DePaul University, the MSW program. Khalid received his BS in Corrections and Criminal Justice from Chicago State University, and I just heard he also went to Morehouse. And he received his MSW from UIC at Jane Addams College of Social Work. Khalid, Khalid, who's a single father and in his spare time mentors both adults and youths, is a member of no other than Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity and provides social work-based training workshops and is a motivational speaker for various Chicagoland forums and self-empowerment events. Khalid is also a published author, has appeared on several TV talk shows as a featured guest clinician, as well as appearing on multiple radio talk shows. Khalid is a 10-time award-winning veteran serving 9.5 years combined in both the Army and Illinois Army National Guard. Help me welcome Khalid Scott.
Wow. Who is that guy?
I don't know.
I need to know him.
You took my breath away.
Thank you for having me again, Janice. You know, when I come on your show, it's always going to be a good time. So
And
thank you for having me.
think about this. With all that, with that quick bio, and that's not the long bio. Remember the long bio, the 3-page.
Right.
That's the quick one. With a bio like that, that's why when you said you've only done 38 Zooms, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But we're gonna kick the show off, starting off with with the topic, and then if we kind of go a different way, it's okay because I know you're so flexible and you don't mind me doing that. And I love doing it since I have you here and you're an expert on marriage therapy. We got to talk about that. You know that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But PTSD and COVID. So when we were talking about the topic, I said PTSD and COVID. COVID is almost gone. Well, not quite, but it's on its way out, hopefully, and hopefully the variant won't take over again. But I was trying to connect the two, PTSD and COVID. So I had to look up what is PTSD. So it says it's a mental health disorder in which a person experiences thoughts, flashbacks, and nightmares that strike unpredictably and brings a person back to the moment of trauma. The re-experiencing of memories causes panic attacks and trouble in sleeping. Then it went on to say symptoms include anxiety, depression, and mood disorders. But PTSD due to COVID has a myriad of implications that impact our well-being and the well-being of others. Mr. Scott is here today to discuss some of those social ills that are being amplified because of COVID. So let's start off talking about something simple and light, friendships.
Friendships. Okay.
Let's talk about how they're impacted.
Okay. Well, you always hear the saying that you always want to keep your friends near and your enemies even closer. And another term that we're so used to hearing is that folks are willing to laugh with you, but there's not always a bunch of folks there to cry with you. And so what I found, not only personally, but also talking with colleagues and friends, that relationships have really been challenged over the past 15, 16 months with COVID. And it makes sense. So think about it. On March 13th, we all were living regular lives.
True.
We were coming and going as we pleased. And then March 14th, the news came on and said that it was this killer virus taking over everywhere and that we had to go home, stay home, be safe. Okay. And we're so used to living in a society, again, where we can come and go as we please. We can socialize as we please. And again, we've never been through a pandemic. There's not too many of us around who were around in 1919 when the Spanish flu took place. So we had to learn in one day how to navigate being in a pandemic, which also kept us hostage in our homes. Okay. So you look at it like this. All right, I'm not socializing as much anymore. And you know what? Wow, maybe I'm that type of person. I can't really get around And so you might go to what I call your committee or your village, and
Mhm.
then folks, because everyone is so stressed out, everyone is on edge, tempers flare. And I don't know about you, but Janice, but it doesn't take much to set people off over these last 15, 16 months. Little things that would typically wouldn't have bothered you. Now, it's a mountain out of a molehill, you know? And so with French, so let me be real specific because I'll talk about friendships, family relationships, and then romantic relationships. So
Okay.
with friendships, these are the people who are like family to you. But then again, when people don't step up or when people have their own issues, they let you know real quick, well, you my guy, you my girl, but I got to look out for my family. And so the disappointment and the shock and the expectations you thought you would have is no longer in place.
So,
And so last year,
do you
go
think
ahead.
that friendships, that some of those bonds are being broken down because of the stress?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And also too, if I had a little issue with you before, this took it to the next atmosphere, to the next sphere. You know what I'm saying? Because I
Yeah.
already had a little issue with you, but now you really got on my nerves during this pandemic. And then we can't communicate like we typically do. We can't go out for drinks. We can't go and meet up and get something to eat and sit and talk things out. It's like, you know what? You want something real different right now. I got enough stress on me. I'm out of here. And so, like someone like me, I had 8 friends this time last year. A year later, 8 of those relationships are gone,
Wow.
you know? And and I think I'm that kind of friend who has your back covered. So then that's why when I bring up, I think when people have an issue with you already, this doesn't do anything but carry things over or highlights the issues or concerns that they have with one another. Okay. So now we're looking at family relationships. So now you got family members. Again, we so used to getting up, get ready, go. Now we're in the house together. Okay. Now it used to bother me just a little bit that you washed your pantyhose in the sink and left them over the shower curtain. But you know what? I gotta go to work. But now I'm in the house with you. Oh my God. I want to strangle you with those pantyhose. And then for the ladies, it used to bother you all that we left the toilet seat
Oh,
up.
speak that.
Right. But now I'm doing it every day, all day, even though you asking me, please put it down. My daughter used to always say, Daddy, put the seat down. I'm like, Anaya, it's too convenient. I'm not going to keep lifting that seat up. You just going to have to deal with it. So, and then kids are at home doing remote learning. And a lot of us parents, we aren't educators. So we're trying to navigate that. And then our jobs, we are working from home and trying to get used to that. And then we're worried about unemployment, and then we're scared all at the same time because we're hearing new stuff about this virus. And then we start seeing our loved ones and people we know get sick. And then, like someone like me, I knew 8 people who died of COVID. So you add all of this together, and it's been a firework. It's been fireworks. Then look at it like this. So now here in Chicagoland, we've been dealing with a lot of car thefts and shootings. Well, think about it. Folks have been in hibernation for 16 months in the house, could not go out. So it was already in them, but now we're unleashed. You know what I'm saying?
You think COVID may have had something to
Yes,
do with the increase in carjacking and shootings, even highway
absolutely.
shootings, and people going off because you cut them off?
Absolutely, because again, we're frustrated. And then we're out and about. And then I'm a little bit more agitated when I'm driving. You know what I'm saying? So I flip you off, and then you're agitated, and you're like, you know what? I ain't standing for it. Let me go and bump that car. You know what I'm saying? And again, folks are in crisis mode. And remember, Janice, we never had to navigate something like this before. We're learning each day as we go. And then think about it. You turn on the TV 24/7, you're hearing about the death rates and people catching COVID. So you keep feeding that drama and trauma every day, all day. What do you expect people to do? And for me, I opened up my private practice last fall in September, and and because I pay attention to the grind of the world, I'm seeing so many married couples in distress. So I said, you know what? That's going to be my niche. I'm going to work solely with married couples because this pandemic opened up a bunch of Pandora boxes with couples.
So it seems to me that if you were a couple living together, married, it seems like something like this may even bring you closer because you're kind of in it together. And I know you get on each other's nerves. You have no outlet. You're not even going out to work. But doesn't it seem it may bring them closer together? You're not seeing that at all?
See, a lot of us single people have that mentality, or us divorced people like, well, man, you together. It's better than being us single when you in the house by yourself and you can hear yourself breathe. People have a way of irking you, and especially 7 days a week. Again, I'm used to you going to work, going to the gym, going out with the fellas, going out with the ladies, going to school, going to park, swim practice, volleyball practice, cheerleading practice. We're so used to being on a go. This forced us to sit down, shut up, and deal and heal. And we wasn't ready because, again, we had no preparation. You see what I'm saying? And so with married couples, I have 8 couples that I'm working with. All 8 of the gentlemen, all 8 of the husbands have committed adultery, and they committed adultery during the COVID.
Wait now. Why did you open up that can of worms so early? Because according to you, 100% of the men are going to, or have thought about it or have done it, commit adultery anyway. So would they have done it had they been in a COVID environment or a non-COVID environment, since they're prone to do it anyway?
Yes. 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 But see,
okay.
We got to think about it. If I'm home with my wife every day and I sneak, I come home and this is the destroyer of marriages and relationships. This little device right here.
Okay, the phone. Okay.
Right. Because us men, and I know the fellas are going to be mad at me, but the truth needs to be told. We're sloppy. We're sloppy. And I give the analogy, what's my passcode? My passcode, like most men, is my kid's birthday. Okay? Now, for women, your passcode is your best friend's cousin's son. So we'll never know your password, but ours. And then think about it. We leave this on the counter or the bedpost, and then we go and take a shower. And then our wives, because women have this intuition that's just like, wow,
you sense
phenomenal.
It, yeah.
And you like, wait a minute, I have access to his phone. He just left it there. Let me do 0716. Boom. And then women go straight to the pictures. And then see, I can tell men, even if you delete the pictures, go to the delete section and delete them again. We forget because, again, we sloppy. We think we did enough by hitting, the delete button. No, you got to take it to the next level. And I've heard scenarios like these wives that told me they are like Sherlock Holmes. You ladies have investigation skills that you all should be working for FBI. I had a friend said, Khalid, I suspected my husband. I overheard him say somebody's name, Sabrina. I went on his Facebook page. I looked up all the Sabrinas he was friends with. Then I went, because we have a joint account with Sprint, I went and looked up the log sheet and saw this certain number was dialed like often. Called the number. Hello, may I speak to Sabrina? Voila, it was Sabrina.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Voila, it was Sabrina. Now, I wouldn't even thought of that. I would not
Really?
have thought about that. Why would I? I'm cocky enough to say my wife wouldn't cheat on me, you
Oh,
know.
of course, of course.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you women are tight and right with. I think when y'all go out and have y'all Sex in the City girls' night out, y'all discuss these little hints and clues and on how to do this to men. I believe you do that.
Funny because I would think that men do the same thing when they go to their smoking bars or they talk about now how could we tell this lie and how could we cover for this? I think that it's kind of a secret society and men tell consistent the same lies. No, they don't cover their tracks as well as they should. But my God, they have it down pat lying with a straight face. So you have you have 8 couples and all the men have cheated, not the women, right? The men.
As far as I know, the husband, because all of them came based on infidelity.
Is that the biggest marital culprit, infidelity? Because I thought it was money.
Infidelity, communication, money. Those are my top three. Those are my top three. It's like because the communication is poor and because, we're bringing two grown individuals together. We don't know how to manage money individually. So we are horrible at money management together. You know what I'm saying? Or this person is unemployed. This person is overemployed. Or you work 16 hours a day. You don't spend time with me and the kids. You know what I'm saying? And I'll let you do it because I know you're the provider of the home. But man, this is taking its toll out on me, and then boom. Like I had one of my husbands, he was like, I asked him why he cheated. His wife has multiple kids and they're stair step children, meaning they were born like a year apart plus. And I asked him, why, sir? Why did you step out your marriage? He was like, because my wife stayed pregnant all the time.
Who got her pregnant?
Him. So I'm looking at him like, sir. He was like, well, Mr. Scott, you asked me. Now you want me to lie? I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. If that's your truth, that's where we got to work from. That's where we got to work from. So being a marriage therapist, you thought you knew stuff. But my God, what I see, what married folks are dealing with, it's like, my God, y'all need to run to the Daily Center, go to the 30th floor and do the paperwork.
And
My God.
do you think for the most part in those few couples that the women appear to be taking the brunt of the junk of the stuff? Because you even said the men are cheating in all 8 couples, not the woman, or not that you know of, not that they know of. The man is. So, or things that she's dealing with. Like he said she's having too many babies, but he's getting her pregnant every time. So it just seems like it's disproportionate, and women are bearing most of that.
No, Janice, I blame the wives too.
Because they're not leaving?
That too.
Okay.
See, anytime there's some chaos, anytime there's some discord, you never blame one party. It's both. When you go to war, it's just not one-sided, it's both-sided. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know people would look at this and be like, Khalid, how dare you blame the poor innocent wife because her husband has a choice. You have just as much. Understand this about us men. We follow your lead. We follow your lead. You lead us right, we go right. You lead us left, we go left. Okay? You don't hold us accountable, then it's like a kid in a candy store.
They're going to do
You
it all.
know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because now what I'm having to teach the wives, you got to hold him accountable. You got to hold him accountable. And one of the things that you're doing, which is great, is like none of the couples that I have, the husbands called me for therapy. All 8 couples, the wives were the ones that called me. And they held it like a carrot. Like, if we don't do therapy, I don't know what was going to happen. We might have to divorce.
Right.
And so when I'm hearing the scenarios of the breakdown of their marriage, I'm looking at the ladies like, you could be my sister, my mama, my daughter. How can you take this? How can you take this? And again, it's by choice. And I'm not judging because
Right,
that's
right.
your marriage. That's what you committed on doing. But if you are not going to go all the way with the solution that's best for you, then at some point I let them know you cannot complain. Forgive and be quiet. Because again, if you don't hold the party and truly not nag him, not curse him out, but really hold somebody accountable, they will continue to practice what their pattern is.
Ooh, that is a word right there.
Yes, we're married to
Yeah.
our patterns. We're married to our patterns. And we typically don't divorce them. How you brush your teeth is how you've been brushing your teeth for the last 50 years. The minute somebody say, brush your teeth with your left hand, you like,
I can't do that. It's
I,
awkward.
right, right. I've been brushing with my right hand all these years, you know? So that's it. That's
You're
it.
you're absolutely right. So you're basically saying that how I was looking at it was in the marriage, the 8 cases, the man was stepped out, and you're saying, but it's both of their faults because she's
Yes.
not holding him accountable. Yeah, she may jump up and down and say you got to go to counseling, but the bottom line is that's all she's going to do. So he's going to continue that pattern because she is not holding. She's not making him accountable. If he keeps doing it, she should just leave.
Right.
Um, that's a good word, counselor.
Yeah, let me give you another example. You remember what happened, and we talked about this last time a little because I think it had just jumped off about the guy Derek Jackson and how he got found out that he had cheated. He was cheating on his wife with multiple women,
How did you
right?
find out? I refresh my memory.
Well, what happened was one of his mistresses leaked it to like a blogger, okay, and did some
Mhm.
kind of interview. And then, of course, the women were showing receipts of him interacting with them. And so it blew up like within a week. And everybody was talking about it. And they were talking about it because he became every woman's relationship guru, you know,
Oh yeah. Derek James.
and
Yeah.
and gave great advice. He
He did.
sounded
I
like
like his
me.
advice. He did.
Right. He gave wonderful on target advice. And so then, but again, we were bamboozled because no one knew he was married. You know
Oh
what I'm saying?
yes,
And
yeah.
he always make these videos in a tight t-shirt or a tank top sitting in his car, you know, and he understood what the appeal was. I'm an ex-football player. You know, I'm sitting up here swole in this car, got a little bass in my voice, and I'm telling the women what they need to know. And on top of that, I'm bashing men.
And we were
So
buying it too. We were eating it up.
absolutely. Absolutely. So then when it got out, folks were mad at him because it's like, why was it necessary to do that? Especially with what your platform was to help women understand men, how to navigate us, and most importantly, how to take care of yourself in a relationship. So we got bamboozled. But men, we see another man knows another man. So
Game
us
knows
men
game.
are sitting back like, "Mhm,
Mm-hmm.
got it, got it." So we were like, wow, y'all surprised? And so then when he brought so let me tell you what I talked to my wives about. I made them watch the video of him when his wife came on and they
Oh, did
sat
you
down.
see her? Oh, she was just like, oh,
So then I said, wives, look at this video, okay? So we all watched the video together. So I said, wives, your husband is Derek Jackson, and that's you. So the wives were like, oh my God, that's how I look. That's how I appear. That's my representative. And I said, yes. What does she do
wow.
different that you're not doing? She's sticking with her man who has went out and not only cheated with one woman, multiple women, and got a woman pregnant.
I didn't
Okay.
hear he got it. He got a woman pregnant.
Yes, but she had an abortion. So the thing is, sometimes, well, a whole lot of times with me, I'm like the male version of Iyanla Van Zandt.
All
So
right.
what happens is, with my therapy, I hold up the mirror to you because, see, I don't have time to candy coat and placate you. I got to give it to you so we can get the work and do the work and get deal and heal. You know, so that was a turning point for a whole lot of the wives, and they were like, okay, okay, okay. And now somebody might like, well, Khalid, man, how is that being helpful to the husbands? What I need is, when you have a couple, and if both parties are healthy and strong and
Yes.
have confidence, then you have a better marriage. If one is healthy and confident and the other one has self-esteem that's down this way, it's going to be lopsided and nothing good. And then what happens is, my little babies start suffering. The kids start suffering.
It's true.
And I can't, I've been working with DCFS for 28 years, Janice. I'm tired of seeing kids in distress. And the number one culprit for those kids are their parents. So let's build better, capable parents, men and women, so that it'll be a rippling effect for our babies.
And healthier families.
Yes.
But you know what? The thing about Derek's wife that really got me, and for anyone to point out that that was you, that would definitely get him. She looked so defeated. Do you remember her posture even? It was, she looked so defeated. Okay, we're going to go back to PTSD because I have a question about, you kind of mentioned the escalation in violence. And you also mentioned about being afraid all the time. I'm kind of one of those. I think about when I go to work, when I'm on 290, you know, you may cut somebody off or do something, it gets crazy. Then you think about maybe being carjacked. I mean, because that's a realism. And you think about all these different things, and then you're thinking about getting to work and having someone cough on you and getting COVID. So it's everywhere you go, it's all around us. But do you really think the escalation in carjacking and violence and shootings is COVID related, or is it, because I'm not seeing it across all areas of Chicago. I see carjacking across all areas, but who are the perpetrators?
Right. So recently it was found out that a lot of the carjackers were teenage kids.
They are 14, 50. Yep.
Yes. Okay. So you understand that someone put them in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And again, you put people in a position, you put vulnerable people in position, because we know the world is what, Janice? Vulnerable. People are vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? So what happens is, with like when I'm working with a vet who has PTSD, what happens is things trigger him. So say if he was in the Persian Gulf War, and he was in the middle of, he was in an infantry unit and there was a lot of gunfire, a veteran could hear a car pop or hear firecrackers, and he'll lay down to the floor.
It's true.
Because it triggers the trauma. So again, by us all being in the midst of a trauma, trying to figure it out, we need a release. I've been around my family. I am so tired of them. I'm mad at them. But I'm not gonna kill them. I'm not gonna kill them. But I got rage in me, Janice. I got rage in me. So where do I unleash this rage at? I unleashed it on people who don't know, who people ain't got to be accountable for. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Just like the husbands who go out and cheat during this pandemic. I can't get what I want from my wife. I need an outlet. I got to get a release. And that's what triggers it. So I will fight any psychologist who says, no, you can't measure the two. Why not? Why not? This was serious, and this is for all of us to deal with. Think about, Janice, are you a little bit more short-tempered than you was a year ago?
I don't think so.
Let somebody trigger you off, and I bet you will be. Let somebody say something wrong to you. You know, let a Karen approach you in the grocery store.
Now that's a different topic. Now you go.
I want to hear the hums and the hallelujahs and and all that.
That's
Jesus protector. You know what I'm saying?
That's a little bit different because there's so many overarching things going on with race relations. That's a bit different.
Absolutely.
And that's escalated too, but that's a whole different problem. And
look at the police, how the police been behaving over this past year. Even with George Floyd, even when we got the conviction, the little 16-year-old girl got killed. Same day.
So
that's what I'm saying. People are popping off. I see it with my clients because not only do I work with married couples, but I work with DCFS wards and their family members. And I'm telling you, everybody is trigger happy now.
What about the kids? Are they more violent? Is the violence escalating with the kids, with the teenagers?
Yes, because now I'm talking to my friends who are counselors at high schools, and they're seeing, and you would think it wouldn't be happening because kids have been doing remote learning, but domestic violence amongst teenage couples is on a rise. Suicides are on a rise. My mentee, 33-year-old mentee, he killed himself November 1st of last year. So you got suicide, domestic violence. So see, when you add all this up, what is the common denominator? This COVID. And I'm not saying that this stuff wouldn't have happened if COVID didn't exist, but now it's amplified. It's amplified, you know?
Okay. Yeah. No, go ahead, finish.
And us therapists, us clinicians, we're fatigued now because I have a waiting list.
So now
I've never had a waiting list before. Had a waiting list, and I've had more like from my other job, I've had more male clients seeking help. You know something's going on when Black men are picking up going on www Psychology Today and looking my bald head self up like, Mr. Scott, I need you.
Black men?
Yes. And they for real with it. I remember one guy called me. He was like, wow, sir, I'm messed up and I need a counselor. I said, sir, I'm booked up right now. Man, Mr. Scott, I need a brother. And I said, well, I know 5 other male clinicians, Black male clinicians, and let me send them to you because they may have openings. I know I don't, you know? So that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying, I can stand on. And again, it's been over these last 16 months.
What do you think COVID's done to dating? Is there been an impact or not?
It's made us reevaluate the fundamentals of dating. So I've had dates, and I think I shared with you last time that I've had dates here at my house. You know what I'm saying? Where the young lady came over, cooked me a meal, or I cooked her a meal, and we Netflixed and chilled. Now before, you wouldn't get ladies like, I don't know about coming to your house.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But now it's like, okay, if I want to get to know you, and I'm just gonna tell my sister, I'm gonna tell her your name, show her your profile picture, and give her your address. So if you don't hear from me by 11:30, I need you to call the police. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So people are, and now I'm hearing, okay, now we can start going back on dates. And then think about it. Think about how many people have been on the internet over the last year and a half. So those internet dating sites are blowing up.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, that's true.
So people ain't gonna miss a beat when it comes to getting there. Let me say this real slow for everybody. People are not gonna ever miss a beat when it comes to their pleasures. We gonna eat, we gonna watch our television, and we gonna have our sex.
They're gonna find a way.
Absolutely. Janice, I mentioned to you the other day that 4 million people quit their jobs in the month of April. 4 million people, because people are like, I ain't going back to no office. I like being at home with my pajama pants and I put on a little blouse or a shirt, and I got my goodies right here. And I'm sitting up here doing these questionnaires or whatever, and doing all these Zoom meetings. And now you want me to put clothes on
and go
and
5
get
days a
in that
week
traffic and go to the office and sit with some morons who I don't like in the first place? I'm out. I'm out. So that's what I'm saying. This pandemic has shifted us. How could it not?
You're absolutely right, and I did read about that, and that was significant, 4 million, and then now everyone is forcing. Okay, so COVID in the workplace. Do you think? Well, I know that you probably go. Do you go in the office? Are you going in the office? Are you working remotely?
We're doing both, but
okay.
come August, my department, we're going right back full time.
5 days a week.
5 days a week.
Do you think that there's a risk in that, or?
Yes, I do, because we're not mandating, or at least we haven't got the word that people are going to be mandated to get vaccinated. And then we have vets that come in our office, and our offices are not like showroom big, you know what I'm saying? So of course we're going to tell them, put the mask on. But like my mom, give you a personal testimony, my mom caught COVID and my mom was in the house all the time.
Jeez.
So if she was vulnerable enough to get it and she's always in the house, I'm going back to a hospital setting where people are sick with COVID. So it's bringing another type of anxiety up,
Yeah, it does. Wow.
So.
Okay, so we've talked about suicide, we've talked about isolation, we've talked about violence, which was something interesting because everyone is, you got all these marches going on. Everyone's concerned about the violence, the escalation of violence. You talked about stressors. It's everywhere you go. When you go out the house, when you go to the store, even in the store, people are getting more angry, bumping into you in the store. And it's like everyone is on edge. And that is, you're right. That's PTSD COVID.
Yes.
So what do we do to mitigate it? What do we do to kind of calm things down? How can we bring things down? Everyone's not going to see a counselor.
Right. Well, before I get to the how-tos and how to make this better, the last part that I need to address is the racial disharmony we have in the United States. President Obama gave us hope. At least he gave me hope. And I thought I lived in a different America. Whereas a black man and a black woman and 2 pretty little black girls were in that White House. And I saw crowds of people who cheered them on, who loved them. When they left the White House, people were crying. When the First Lady wrote her book, it was the bestseller of the year, 2019. So I thought we were beloved. And then someone came in that office right behind our president, and he showed us what's really going on in the United States. And for me, Janice, I'm a black male. And watching men who look like me, men who could be related to me, men who could be my relatives, my mentees, my colleagues, what have you, getting killed on the street by people who are supposed to protect us. 16-year-old girls getting shot to death by people who are supposed to protect us. Men right in the car with their children getting shot, And what happened was the racial disharmony gave us a break from the COVID stuff. We were so impacted by the COVID, but then when that George Floyd situation happened, we like, oh my God, let's shift gears. And because we were forced to watch it every day, all day, including people who don't look like us, we like, oh my God, this is it. So how fitting that the police officer got 22 and a half years. And I'm telling people, don't laugh at that. Don't look at that as minimal. That's something, because
Oh,
he
it
could
is.
have got off. He could have got off. Now, will it teach another cop to be mindful? Um, what are the patterns showing us? No, no, because this is decades of a behavior. And what did I say about patterns? We are married to our patterns. So
Yes.
to tell somebody to break a pattern, it's not going to happen overnight. So again, so not only we got a pandemic, a medical pandemic, we have a race pandemic. So that's two pandemics hitting us. And why are black people killing black people? Because at the end of the day, I'm more comfortable to hurt what looks like me than what doesn't look like me.
Mm.
So you put all that in the basket. You put all that in the beef stew, all those ingredients. How can we not have PTSD, Janice? So that's why my business is booming. That's why I got asked for 38 Zooms to give presentations mostly on mental health, because we are going through it. So now, the how to get better, how to deal and heal. Folks, I need you all, and I said this before too, I need you all to have a love affair. And Janice, who do I think you need to have a love affair with?
Myself.
Yourself. 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 All day, every day. One of my Zooms was with some teenagers, and I gave them the homework assignment to stand in the mirror every day for 365 days and say, I love me. And the
Mm.
teenagers were laughing, but I'm like, do it and watch the difference. See, the thing is, I have this hypothesis. When you are so in love with you okay with other people being in love too. And you want the love to spread. So it's like you lose weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you see somebody who's heavy and you see them at the gym and you're like, you know what? Listen, let me tell you what worked for me. You want to pass on the good counsel,
Right.
because if it makes me feel good, I want it to make you feel good. I want it to make you feel good. So when we start doing things like having a village mentality and understanding that I'm going to be whole, I'm going to be healthy, and I want the fallout to be you be healthy, you be whole. Because once we are really healthy and whole, Janice, then that's when we win. That's when we stop with all these mental health disorders and all this pain and all this misery. You know what I'm saying? Because we come together because I like me. Look at the Asian community. Folks targeted them
Yeah.
and they jumped on it. They like, we're not gonna be like black folks and have people treating us like this for centuries. Your president signed a bill saying you
It's
mess
like,
with them,
that's right.
it's gonna be on and popping. And how humiliating it was a year ago that the president sitting there was calling it the kung fu virus.
Yes, he did.
And I remember he said it in front of an Asian journalist, and she stood up and going, if you don't believe me, go and look it up. She was like, why are you saying that because I'm Asian? She went on and she was like, no, you're not going to do this.
Mm.
Because remember, Asians has always been the good stereotype race.
Right.
They're smart, they're healthy, they're fit, they know kung fu, they know how to build a computer when they 1 years old. So they always have the good stereotypes. They understand we like being in that power position, and you're not going to hurt us.
Because of that self-love. They have it. They have
Absolutely.
an overdose of it. And we don't.
Absolutely.
And we don't. So that's good that you're starting with that. We don't.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Next, if you don't want to come and see a Khalid, then build you an advisory committee. Okay. And on that advisory committee, these are the people who's closest to you, who will tell you the truth, but hug you and give you a piece of cake. They will let you know when you are wrong, and they will let you know when you are right. And they are the ones you could call at 3 o'clock in the morning saying, I'm stuck on 55th and the Dan Ryan. Get up and come and get me. Don't
Yes.
ask no questions. Man, why you on 55th and the Dan Ryan at 2 o'clock in the morning? Don't ask me no questions.
Just
Just come
come.
and get me.
That's right.
Just come and get me. All right, man, I'm on my way. Give me a minute. And I think that's why like even with the bonnet thing with Monique, she hit it. She was like, ladies, this gives the impression that we have some self-esteem issues going on.
She's right. Absolutely.
Absolutely, she's right. But again, remember, when you don't feel good about you, I don't care how I look running to the store. I got my pajama pants, my house shoes, my bonnet. I'm going to get that some Doritos and a Mystic iced tea and go right back in bed. Who I'm trying to look cute for? You know what I'm saying? And again, that tells the world that something's wrong with us. And what Black folks got to know, everybody watches us. We set the trends.
We do.
We set the trends. We're the beautiful race of people. Think about Black men. We're the most hated, but we're the most desired men in the world. And look at the beauty of our women. You all come with a rainbow of flesh colors that every woman tries to go after. Look at the Kardashians. I was looking at a clip of the Kardashians reunion, and they look like Black women.
They do.
They look like Black women, especially Kim. You know what I'm saying? So when we understand the value, when we know we set the tone and we set the pace, how can we let anybody hurt us and do us wrong? Even ourselves. Even ourselves. Janice, it's wonderful that you got this, and many other people have these outlets where we can have these kind of discussions, because it's so important.
It is.
It's so important.
But how
we grow.
How do we get it to the young people? How do we get it to the masses? How do we teach them about self-love and self-esteem?
We role model it. So let me give you a real quick example right here, right now. Look at this wall behind me, Janice.
I see it. I was looking at it actually. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That is all of me and my babies, my 18-year-olds. That's our achievement. Mm-hmm. I created this office when we first moved into this house 15 years ago. And this is my Huxtable room.
Okay.
It's my Huxtable room where we display our trophies and our certificates and our degrees and our diplomas. And the thing I've always told Anaya, who's at Amherst, the #2 liberal arts school in America, on a full ride, daughter, I will never ask you to be excellent if I'm not excellent. So my daughter has always seen me go and get honored and get awards and trophies. And in turn, because I role modeled that behavior,
that's what she's doing, and more.
And that's what she's doing, and more.
And more.
And more. But my mother did it for me. My mother was a teenage mom, single parent, worked at the steel mill. They laid her off. My mother was the only one of her siblings who went and got a 2-year degree from Kennedy King.
All right.
So my mother set the tone. I went to the Army so I could go and get my degree. I have a master's, and now I have a daughter who wants to go to medical school.
And she's going to be a neurosurgeon.
Absolutely. The top line.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm saying. Once we role model, because look what our kids got to look up to. Girls are hearing women your age say, I love Cardi B.
I know.
Instead of Michelle Obama. What the tarnation is that about? My 25-year-old mentees, I wish they would walk in my house and tell me they like Offset and whoever. They better tell me I'm the role model. They better tell me I'm the one. And they do. Now I got mentees who are married in their 20s, having babies. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Because trying to be homeowners. Because why? It was role modeled to them.
Well,
The
that's
formula is easy.
That's
the
what we have
formula
to
is
do.
easy. We just got to do it.
We got to do it then.
That's it.
Because we got a whole generation and then a generation after them coming up, and it's we got to do something.
Yes.
Speaking of doing something, I cannot believe our time is almost up. Boy, you timed it perfectly, man. You are really good at this. I just looked. I'm like, you timed that perfectly. And you know what I always say? I always say you got to come back.
Yes.
You have to come back. And I am seeing these buzzwords: racial pandemic. You know, that's going to be a new. You coined it, but it's definitely where we're at.
Yeah.
You have given us some great nuggets this evening, and I have to have you back. I always have you back. I have you on my show as much as possible. But you're right. COVID, wow. PTSD. I didn't see the correlation, but you have broken it down. Not only broken it down with COVID and PTSD, you also broke it down why African American, particularly young men, view it even more different because they're dealing with the racial pandemic. They're dealing with the other pandemic, and they have PTSD for all of it. Just for being Black, you're going to have PTSD.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
And then when you broke it down to tell me that, yeah, but for them, it's easier for them to hurt someone that looks like them. Because it's like, why do they do it? Why do we do it to each other?
Right.
But
I am not going to Lincoln Park and shoot 17-year-old Tommy because I'm done then. But if I go and shoot 15-year-old Tyreek in Inglewood,
you'll get away with it probably.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that's how they're thinking about it.
Right.
Well, I'm going to close out, and I'm hoping that people have shared. I'm going to share. I want you to share. People need to hear what you got to say. You are just at the top of your game. And I'm going to have you come back and talk about possibly stress. Stress is a big one. I mean, that's kind of related to the PTSD. So I'm going to close out and hope that everyone has a great week. The show that comes on after us, you got an hour in between shows, The Man Cave. Please watch it. It's going to also be at Indie TV. You can see it on Facebook too. And I'm sure that you may get an invitation to the Man Cave, Khalid, because you know what? You just got so much information and so much wisdom. Thank you again for being a guest on Let's Talk. Appreciate you. Everyone have a blessed week. Signing off.
Take care, everybody.
Camped out at home for COVID? Join us, Indie TV, where you will see the talk shows, movies, drama, action, and comedy. Be the first and see it first. Sign up now for free at Indie TV.